So yeah, I survived Ted Bundy. It was in the early 70s, underneath the 75. Before that, I was living in a town in Massachusetts, little suburbs on a little quiet street, one way in, another way out. We could play in the road, and that's what I was doing. I had long brown hair, brown eyes, kind of like what they said it was his type. I'm just standing in the road, hopping up on one foot, jumping around, doing the things 14-year-old girls do, or 13. I had all the things, I can tell you that right now. And up comes this blue car, and he stops in front of me. And I walk up to the car because I was an idiot back then. And I got really close, and I was looking at his eyes, and I was very curious by his eyes because they were like blue, jelly-like, googly eyes. His hair was short, but you could tell it was wavy if it was longer. He was wearing glasses. And I leaned into the car so close that I could feel his breath on my face, like around my nose area. He goes, "Do you want to go for a ride?" I just backed up, and I said, "Oh, no, I have to eat dinner. I'll get in trouble if I don't make it home." And I lived right there. So I backed up and I walked into the house and I just looked and he drove off. Well, after dinner, I was back in the street again. Now, mind you, there was a giant pine tree right next to me, and underneath that pine tree was a bench. We used to hang out there, one of our few hangout places. And there was 4 teenage boys sitting on the bench. They weren't there the first time because it was dinner time. They had all gone home. But they were sitting there. You could barely see them. I knew they were there. I was still jumping around on the street on one foot. Up comes this blue car again. It's him again. And he stops in front of me. He goes, "Did you eat dinner? Do you want to go for a ride now?" And I just looked at him and I turned to my friends. I said, "Hey, this is the guy who tried to pick me up earlier." And all 4 of my friends come running towards the car. He hadn't seen him at that until then. And he goes driving off. Now, even though he was in a car and they were on foot, they almost caught him. But one of them got his plate number, and we ran into my house and grabbed a little notebook out of the junk drawer and wrote his plate down. My mom comes out, and we're like, "Hey, this, that, and the other." We had an uncle. I had an uncle who was in the state police. She goes, "I'll ask Uncle so-and-so if he can find out anything." And it was like a couple of weeks later. My friend's like, "Did you find out anything?" So we went in the house, and we asked her if he said anything. She went to the same junk drawer, got out the same pad that we wrote the license plate on, and she had written, "Oh yeah," he said, "he's from Connecticut, and his name is Theodore Bundy." Of course, we didn't know what that meant back then, but we all looked at each other and went, "Oh yeah, he looks like a Theodore." That was all we had to say about it. You know what bothers me, though, to this day is that there's probably a lot of people that are missing in that time frame in the Massachusetts area that are not related to him because nobody knows he was in that area. It's a little scary. I know it seems a little anticlimactic, but that is my story, and yes, I'll never forget that face, even though I've seen him on the news since then many times. Not lately, of course. But he always looked a little different. But those eyes, like jelly. Weird.